Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me here today. I want to talk about decision making and the process of how we can make better decisions in our personal and business life. So I want you to imagine what it would feel like to make the right decisions all the time, where you don't have to worry about your past decisions and then know that all the decisions you make will lead to your ultimate happiness. That would be so amazing. You would have so much more time freed up every day in your mind because you're not backtracking and everything. And now you can focus on other decisions moving forward in your life. I know sometimes making the right decisions is a little scary because we don't know what is right for us. I'm going to share with you how to identify what a short-term decision versus a long-term decision is. And then within the short-term decision, I have 3 techniques to tackle that. And then in the long-term decisions, I have 3 techniques that I'll share with you so you can make more effective long-term decisions. A story I want to share with you with a really large decision that I made was when I decided to leave my company, J'adore. I built it from the ground up, but about 3 years ago, I felt like, I think I'm done with event planning now. I've accomplished my most beautiful weddings and I felt like I needed to move on. But it took me a whole year to make this decision because I was so scared of the choice and the outcome of my decision if I were to leave. Because who in their right mind would build a company from scratch, do that well, achieve their dreams to leave? It sounded a little crazy at the time, right? But now fast forward 2 years and I see all the decisions I made and my processes and where I'm at now, I'm so happy I did, and I feel like I made the right decision for me. Because of business, I've been doing it for over 8 years now, that I had to become faster at making my decisions. Because if I didn't, I would not do anything and nothing would be accomplished because I would spend all my days being fearful of the decisions I made. So let's jump into it. So how do we identify what a short-term versus a long-term decision is? Well, let's first define it. So I identify a short-term decision by these decisions that will have a short-term impact in our life, such as a few hours or a few days. Examples of short-term decisions are what we eat, our daily routines and processes, and I identify the long-term decisions as decisions that will have a longer impact in our life, such as months to years, like relationships, jobs, careers, businesses, having children, things that will not go away, or if we eliminate it from our life, we will notice it in a long-term range. What I find is most people are very focused on the short-term decisions, that they don't focus on the long-term decisions, which has very negative long-term consequences because then we can't direct how our life will be because we're not directing those long-term decisions effectively. So how do we even identify which ones are short-term and which ones are long-term? I use a process called reversible versus irreversible. With short-term decisions, because they have quicker outcomes, they are what I call reversible decisions. Meaning, if you make a decision on it, and if you don't like it, that's okay. You can change it for the next day. These decisions should be made quickly. For these decisions, I try to spend the least amount of time on because their consequences are not that impactful. I can change it the next day if I want, and they basically are so quick that I can be reinforced really fast on knowing what makes me happy. Most people treat short-term decisions as irreversible decisions because they think it's gonna have a long impact on their lives, but it won't. If you're contemplating what to eat for dinner, that can be changed from day to day. So why spend so much time thinking about it? Or even the clothes you wear or the routes you take to work, things that are every day that you go through, you should try to spend the least amount of time on. In these long-term irreversible decisions, this is where I spend the majority of my time thinking because I want to come up with the best possible scenario and work towards what's gonna make me the happiest. These require more thought and require more actions than everyday reversible decisions. So within the short-term decisions, I have 3 techniques to tackle it faster. The first one is something called conversion rates. Have you ever heard of that before? I don't know, I kind of made up the term, maybe it exists, maybe it doesn't. But the theory behind conversion rates is because we're humans and we're very emotional creatures, a lot of our decisions is based on our emotions and fear versus logic. So conversion rates use numbers to understand the world around us. You can use conversion rates with everything. So an example I have of this is I have a friend that wants to start a new YouTube channel. And I asked her, oh, that's great. When are you gonna launch your videos? And she goes, well, you know, I've made a few videos now, but I think I'm gonna wait till the new moon to post my video. And I told her that's a long time from now. Don't you want to post it sooner to see how people respond to it and at least build an audience so that way you can fine tune your video skills? And she goes, well, no, I just want to wait for the new moon. I feel like she was being a little bit emotional in the decision because I feel like she was just trying to protect her ego, because I know making videos and putting it out there is scary. I still get a little nervous posting videos. And you know, when you put yourself out there, it allows people the ability to judge you. And of course it's gonna happen, but you just gotta be okay with it. So I know a lot of people don't move forward in their life out of fear of judgment. So my advice to her was, you made these videos and you want to help people. And by prolonging the time that you have to share with others is actually not good. And I asked her to use conversion rates to help her make her decisions instead. So if you look at successful people on YouTube or business or any of that sort, their advice to new businesses or starting businesses is to do it as soon as possible. Just do it. I mean, that's the Nike quote. And the reason why it's really important to do it sooner than later is because of the learning experience you go through and the refining of processes that you can create for yourself versus waiting. There is no point to wait unless you're an established business where people know you and the brand. But if you're not, sooner is better than later. And then if you compare that to people who wait for the new moon, which I don't think there's any literature on how successful people are for posting on the new moon. And I told her, with that logic and with that conversion rate, I would post it sooner than later, right? Like if 95% of people tell you you're gonna be successful for posting it earlier than delaying it, why would you not listen to them? It's just more logic, right? That's how you can minimize the impact of your emotions and your ego in making your decisions. So I use conversion rate in almost everything in my life, and trust me, it's really effective. And my second technique is to ask the right people for help. So if I have a fitness question, I'm gonna ask my trainer. If I have a health question, I'm gonna ask my friends who are in the healthcare industry. If I have a business question, I'll ask someone who I know is very good in business for their advice. If I have a relationship question, I'll ask someone who I think has a very successful relationship in asking for their advice. Of course, I can Google as well, but sometimes the information I get might not have everything. Plus, these people are experts in their field. They've gone, for example, if I have a medical question and I ask my health professional friends, they've gone to school for like 8 years for this. No amount of Googling time that I do in half an hour is gonna measure up to what they can tell me. So if I have a question that has more of a definitive outcome, I will ask someone that is an expert in their field for help. That will minimize the amount of work that I have to do. Now, the third technique I have for reversible short-term decisions is automation. Because these decisions have low impact in our lives, why even spend mental capacity on it? Whatever I can do, I will automate. My food, I automate. I get HelloFresh, they deliver weekly to our house, so that way I don't have to think about my meals. And when I do have to cook, I try batch cooking. We have a cleaner that comes in once a month. We have a trainer that works out with us twice a week, so I know my fitness is taken care of. And you know what else? I wear the same clothes every day for a week. I mean, I dressed up a little bit today for you guys. So you guys are special. But for those of you who know me, I kind of pick my outfit for the week. And I wear that so that every morning I don't have to spend time worrying about what have I worn, what should I wear today, because it's just too much work. It's easier to just walk in, know I'm gonna wear that, and then rotate it about once a week. And then I have different seasonal clothes as well. Trust me, life is just so much easier that way. Instead of spending 5 to 10 minutes picking an outfit, it's done in 30 seconds. Okay, so now let's talk about our long-term decisions, which are more of our irreversible decisions. And I'll use J'adore as my examples on how I made the decisions to leave. Technique number 1, talk to your higher self. I know it sounds a little bit weird, especially if you've never heard of the concept before, but if you've watched my Law of Attraction video number 1, I talk about how we live in a world of multiple endless possibilities, how there's a you in every possible situation, in every possible timeline. So the theory behind talking to your higher self is if you just blank up your mind or you're in a quiet space, you want to call upon the self of you that might be in this other dimension. For example, with me, when I was asking whether I should leave J'adore, I asked my higher self 10 years from then, who was still doing J'adore, what it was like for her and what her advice was for me. Although she is like okay with what she's doing, she had wished that she had followed her heart and done something else because she felt like she wasn't growing as much as she wanted to. If I had the chance to change my career and follow my heart, to do that, because life is too short to worry about money and what you've done in the past, that I should just focus on my happiness in the future. That's what she told me. My second technique is regrets. So you want to ask yourself, will you regret this decision in the future? So for me, I thought about it. I asked my higher self if she regretted the decision. She said yes, she wished she had followed her heart. And then I projected how I would feel if I continued with J'adore in the future. And I can see that I would feel regret. I don't want to live with regret because I felt like if I wanted to do something, to live and not do it and always wonder, oh man, that's torture. And why would I want that? I want to push myself to the limit to see if I can achieve something, to see if I can grow more and just, I don't know, just expand my creativity. I mean, we only live once. Why don't you want to see what else you're capable of? That was my mindset. And I did not want to live with that regret in the future. And the third technique is opportunity cost. So I thought about all the opportunities I would be missing out on if I did not stop J'adore in pursuit of something else. So the opportunity cost was I am not in a new industry. I wasn't able to expand my creativity. I wanted to be in an industry where I can automate things without me because I felt I was bottlenecked with J'adore because everybody wanted to work with me, which was challenging. I wanted to just try commercial real estate. I wanted to there was just so many things, like it was endless. A big key cost was my happiness because I really wanted to try this. When I weighed all the costs, those opportunity costs of starting something new was so high that I had to do it. My higher self told me I had to follow my heart. I saw all the regrets if I did not follow my heart. And I saw the opportunity cost of what it cost me if I didn't pursue my dreams. And the funny thing with long-term decisions is, for me personally, I found that only I can make these decisions. That's why I really had to tune into myself and weigh things out in my head. And I find that talk to your higher self is really beneficial. I've seen a lot of people in bad relationships, and no matter who they talk to, read all the books, a lot of times it's so emotional that they don't decide to leave, and it's such a strong feeling for them. So the only time people can leave a relationship, let's say a bad relationship or a good relationship, is if they really made that commitment to themselves. So I find that long-term decisions is more of a self process that only you will have the answer to. Whereas short-term decisions, you can seek outside help for. So to recap, short-term reversible decisions, I just try to automate, make faster decisions because I can change it out easily. When I want to buy something, I ask what's the return policy, because if I don't like it, I'll just return it. And even if I forget to return it, it's probably not a big purchase anyways. So it makes no relevance to my life, right? So I try to make those decisions as fast as possible. I try to spend more time in the long-term decision. So I try to find what's gonna make me the happiest and most advantageous for all my businesses. So that's what I'm going to do for long-term decisions, which is where I live. I find that a lot of people are in a constant loop and cycle of their short-term decisions. And when you're like that, you're literally living just day to day. And it's hard because you're not really directing the flow of your future. I know so many people that just worry about how they're gonna get to work, even though it's the same route every day, the food they'll make for lunch, dinner, and what to watch later. But does that actually lead to more happiness? No, you're just on a constant loop of that short term. But if they focus on a bigger spectrum and how the things that they do, maybe join a sports team, maybe learn a new skill, hobby, maybe change jobs if you're unhappy with your job, but just trust in the process and the growth and happiness of you, then over time, their decisions become better and they'll be more in control of the reality and be happier, instead of being in that small little rotation every day that really has no impact. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope that was informative and that you'll have some good takeaways from this, and I will see you guys again soon. Bye.